This screencast accompanies the continuous assessment assignment brief provided to first year students in the Introduction to Psychology module on their Applied Psychology program in IADT. The assignment is to prepare a reflective lab journal. Before we begin, you should remember that the written brief, along with additional required documents, can be found in Blackboard on the module course content page in a folder labelled CAs. So let's begin. The point of the assignment is for students to reflect on their activities in class and how they link to the overall shape of the discipline of psychology and beyond. The assignment is based on the content of the Introduction to Psychology module. The content has been divided into 4 topics that you will have covered in class by the time you need to submit your assignment. As I talk through the assignment, I'll refer to these topics. So for this CA, students are asked to compile an individual lab journal using the following guidelines, and then in groups amalgamate this work to submit a group lab journal. So I'm going to talk you through the contents of these now, starting with your individual journal. Let's start by looking at the topics again. For each of these topics, you must complete this form. Here, you're asked to identify the time and date of the lecture or the lab where the topic was covered. You're asked to identify the topic, and then enter a personal reflection on this topic. So for example, you might consider what was the most interesting part, or what you didn't understand. Next, you're asked, how does this topic or a small part of the topic link with something else you've learned in other classes? You might consider your research methods classes or your perception classes. Let's take a look at an example for the first topic. This is what it might look like. When this is completed, you need to repeat this step for each of the topics, completing the form for each one. Once you have completed the form for each topic, these then become your individual lab journal. And so you've completed part 1. What's the next step? Well, let's take a look at that now. Next, students are asked to produce a group lab journal. In this part of the assignment, students will work together in groups of 4. And the students will be organised into those groups during class time on Wednesday the 24th of October. Please ensure that you're in class on that day so that you can be allocated to a group. Once you know your group, it's time to start preparing your group journal. Now we can ask, what's in the group journal? Okay, so let's take a look. First, the group journal will have an assignment cover sheet. This will list your group names and student numbers. Remember, a template for this sheet can be found in Blackboard in the same folder as the CA brief. Next, the group journal will have a table of contents that identifies the page numbers of each section. Now for the main body of the group journal. For each topic, students will complete a similar form to their individual lab journal, but this time as a group. So this will involve discussing the contents of your individual reflections for each topic, and producing a group-agreed reflection for each topic. Finally, the group journal will have an appendix section. Here you can include copies of your individual lab journals for each member of the group and your group meeting progress reports. I'll come back to these in just a moment, but first I want to outline some additional information. Remember, this is a lab group assignment, and so it will necessitate working as a group. Each group should meet 3 times. Now some time will be made available during class, but if students don't have 3 meetings during class, they'll be required to organise a meeting outside of class time. For each meeting, students will be required to complete a group meeting progress report, and a template for these can be found in Blackboard in the same folder as the CA brief and the assignment cover sheet. Okay, so at these meetings, remember to use the meetings to allocate tasks and ensure that the tasks have been completed. All members of the group must be involved, and the part that they played should be documented, so take minutes of these meetings. Non-participation will result in a lower mark or a fail on the assignment. For this reason, it's advisable that as a group, in your first meeting, you negotiate terms. For example, who will take the minutes? Who will complete the group meeting progress reports for each meeting? Will this task be shared? Students should remember that they can ask me for support on any of these issues. Once you've completed all of these elements, then you can consider your group report finished. A member of your group should submit an electronic copy of your report to me by email before 5 p.m. on Wednesday the 5th of December. This is an important deadline. Okay, so that's most of the information I wanted to tell you. Just remember to familiarise yourself with the written brief that can be found on Blackboard on the module course content page in a folder labelled CAs. If you have any questions, your first port of call should be this brief, or perhaps you can re-watch the screencast. If you've done this and you still have questions, don't worry, there'll be plenty of time made available during class to ask me further questions, but make sure you've read the brief before you bring these questions to class. So good luck with the assignment and remember to try and enjoy it.